Happy Thursday, everyone. We got a fun little work set for you guys. Very similar to a work set we did a couple weeks ago. We're gonna let the beeps guide us to fitness. So, before we get to the beeps, let's talk about our warm-up. We're gonna work a sumo squat of 3 to 5 at a 3-1-3 tempo. Single leg RDL at 3 to 5 per side at a 3-second eccentric. Narrow squat 3 to 5 at a 3-1-3 tempo, and a single leg bridge march for 30 seconds of just kind of continual movement there. 1 to 2 rounds just to get those legs kind of opened up, prepped, get those hips ready, and then we're going to move down into some skill work today, just practice and get some work done. We're going to break down this opening piece for the skip. We're going to work on the heel tap of 10 to 20 seconds, just working on those quick little heel taps. Ankle pops and working on bounding, so we're going to work 10 seconds of just a little bit more jumping action, and then we're going to skip for 20 seconds, maybe perhaps working on some double under practice, maybe just skipping, just to work on singles. Or if you don't have access to a skipping rope or room to skip at home, we can work on some jumping laterally or in a different athletic venue, we'll say. From there, we're going to work on our dumbbell front squat for 3 at 3-1-3 tempo, dumbbell floor press for 3 at 3-1-3 tempo, and then finishing off with just some mobility work with some single leg mornings with rotation for 3 to 5 aside. So taking that down for 2 to 3 rounds, working on getting working weight in our 2 movements that we have in our work set, and really working on the skill of skipping. Even if you're not going to skip today, it's a nice skill to work on and practice, especially if you are coming back to skipping, or if you like to skip and you just don't have the room. These 2 drills will really help build that ability for that skip. So let's get you to the work set. The work set is 15 minutes, 5 rounds of work. Minute number 1, you're going to do 10 to 15 dumbbell front squats. You will then move into minute number 2 with the dumbbell floor press of 10 to 15 reps total as well. And then minute number 3, max rep double unders in that minute or whatever time frame you'd like to give yourself. Now with this, we would like to have a little bit of rest in this work set. So last time it was very similar to a 30 on, 30 off. Again, we kind of like to push the pace a little bit with the reps, maybe up them a little bit. But we're looking at least, I'd say 15 to 10 seconds of transition. So if you'd like to add some repetitions to those minutes, maybe even on just the squat, maybe on the floor press as well, who knows? You can, but just allow yourself a little bit of transition time so you can get ready, and when it beeps, you're ready to start that next one. All right, so let's get you warmed up, let's get you ready, let's have some fun with some skills today. Let's get those feet under those hips. We're gonna take the arms big and tall up overhead. We're gonna reach it over to one side. We're gonna come back through and reach it to the other side. Coming back up, we're gonna shrug those shoulders. We're gonna pull those shoulders down and forward fold. We're just gonna touch those toes. We're gonna walk up those shins. We'll come down and frame a foot. We're gonna step back into our lizard, nice and square through those hips. We're gonna take that inside hand all the way up to the sky, and then we're gonna lower that hand down. We're gonna open up with the outside hand, come back down, and then we're gonna lower that back knee and press that hip. We're gonna stay down here. We're gonna come back to center and press that hip, and then come back to center and press that hip. Coming back through, we're gonna straighten out the back leg. We're gonna open up with that inside hand again, coming back down, and then opening up with that outside hand and coming back down. We'll step back into that nice down dog, reaching through those hips. Just gonna walk your heels up a little bit, just really kind of feeling out those legs and those ankles a bit, making sure things feel pretty good. We'll come back into our plank, stepping through that other side. That inside hand is going to reach up to the ceiling. We'll come back down. Outside hand is going to reach up to the sky. Come back down, lower that back knee, and press that hip. Come back to center, press the hip, to center, and press the hip. Back to center, straighten out the leg. Inside hand is going to reach up. Come back down. Outside hand's gonna reach up, back down. We're gonna step back into that down dog, reaching through those hips, walking those heels out again, nice and slow, nice and steady. Come back into that plank. We're gonna tiptoe those feet up. We'll roll ourselves up, big tall stretch. Good, big reach to one side, reach to the other side. We'll come down with those hands. Whew. Get you guys fired up and ready to go. So let's pause that video, take down a little bit more gentle kind of movement if you'd like to, a little back stretch, thread the needle, cat-cows, whatever you'd like to do to get that body ready. I'm gonna start moving through that first phase of warm-up, which is gonna get those legs really opened up and ready for what's about to happen today. So pause, rock it, come and join me. Let's tighten down this first phase of warm-up. All right, our first phase of warm-up is gonna really focus in on those legs. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move into our sumo stance. And from here, our toes are gonna be slightly turned out into kind of that normal squat turnout that we use in our squat stance. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn profile so you guys can see my hips. So I'm in my sumo stance, toes slightly turned out. I'm nice and set through the hips and ribs, so I'm nice and neutral through my midsection. And then I'm gonna draw those hips towards my heels as I really fight to keep that body upright and those knees tracking the toes. And as I stand tall, pushing down through the feet, pushing those knees out still to keep them tracking those toes the entire time. So again, nice smooth tempo of a 3 second down, just a little pause where I maintain tension, and then I stand up nice and tall, opening up those knees and making sure those hips are really staying focused on staying open. So with that sumo squat, take your time, you got 3 to 5 reps. Great opportunity to really open up the legs and the lower body. From there, we're gonna bring the feet in pretty narrow. We're gonna work on a single leg RDL, just to touch on those hamstrings a bit. So we're gonna get ourselves nice and square. I'm gonna bring my toe back into that kickstand. And again, really check those hips. Holding on to either a dumbbell or imagining that I'm holding on to a dumbbell so my upper body is engaged. I'm gonna pull those hips back as I draw my hands down towards my knee or just below. And I'm gonna stand tall, bringing my hips back to that open position. And then again, drawing my hips back to create the hinge, feeling that hamstring, and then standing up nice and tall, bringing that hip back in line with my body. So we're really taking the time to set those hips square every rep. So we want to make sure that if we come up and we're a little tilted, we want to make sure we reset square to the front and then continue on with that hinge. After that single leg RDL for on both sides, we're going to bring our feet into a narrow squat stance. So just anything inside of my regular squat stance. It doesn't have to be right together. It could be, but it really depends on you. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on a narrow stance that suits our needs today. So again, I'm going to turn profile so you guys can see my hips. Just like my sumo squat, I'm going to start with open hips, neutral body, and I'm going to draw those hips towards my heels. My knees still track the toes. I'm staying centered through that midfoot, and then I'm going to push through those legs and stand nice and tall, opening up my hips and taking that nice smooth squat all the way through. A couple more reps. So again, we might be a little more limited in our range of motion in our narrow squat than our sumo, and that's okay, but we still want to maintain and focus on the same pieces, weight through the midfoot, that nice tall torso, and those knees tracking those toes. Once we've done those first 3 standing, we're going to lay on our backs. And we're going to do what we did yesterday a little bit. We're going to work on a single leg bridge march. So what we need to make sure on are those heels and feet are in line with my hips. I'm going to step my feet away so that they're a little ways away from my hands. I'm going to bring my hands up to the ceiling, push my shoulders up to the sky a bit, pull the ribs in so there's that neutral back position. And I'm going to push through my feet, bringing my hips up towards the sky. Now pushing through my feet, I'm going to lift one foot up a little bit and then push that foot down as I lift that foot up as well. And you'll notice as I march these back and forth, I'm not worrying about lifting that foot very high. What I'm focusing on is pushing that foot down into the ground to create that good tension and that good engagement through my midsection and my hips. So we want to focus primarily on the pressure down into the floor, not so much worried about how high the leg gets. So don't worry about that, just take your time, work on the pressure, feel the stability through the legs, and walk that back and forth with little pauses per side. We have 30 seconds. It's not about how many steps you get, it's about those quality of steps. So really focusing on that pressure down. We have that for 1 to 2 rounds. Just a quick recap. We have a sumo squat of 3 to 5 at a 3-1-3 tempo. Single leg RDL, loaded or unloaded. at a 3 to 5 per side, 3-second eccentric, really tapping into those hamstrings. Narrow squat, 3 to 5 reps, 3-1-3, and then we have a single leg bridge march of 30 seconds to just really work on that stability through the pelvis. 1 to 2 rounds, pause that, take it down. Let's get you ready to work on some skills. We've warmed up the legs now, and what we're going to start doing now is start working on the skill of skipping. So we're going to introduce, we've introduced this a few times already, but we're going to work on this, what's called a heel tap. So I'm going to bring my toes and heels together. I'm going to stand nice and open through my midsection, and I'm going to relax my arms. I'm just going to let them hang. So from the side, all right, toes and heels are together. I'm standing tall. The heel tap is just exactly that. It's just a nice, gentle heel tap. We're not trying to come up super high like a calf raise. We're not trying to leave the ground completely. What we're trying to do is just get a little tap going with our feet. So we get that little lift, that nice relaxed arm, and we're just working on that little tap. So that little quick tap, 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 tap. So what we want to think about is that heel coming off the ground just enough that you can be like, slide your hand and breathe, slide your hand and breathe, nice and smooth, but you're just tap, tap, tapping as you go. So nice, fast pace, just like you would be doing if you're doing fast singles. So we want to think about that nice little tap. Surprisingly enough, it's very easy to lose your balance when you do this. So we want to make sure when we do these taps that we're looking kind of forward and down to 45, and we're just trying to stay centered through that ball of the foot. Because if we lean too far forward, we're going to fall forward. If we go too far back, we're not going to be able to get our heels off the ground. So we have to find that happy balance in that midfoot so that we can lift and kind of bounce up and down. Once we're done 10 to 20 seconds of heel taps, you're going to move into 10 seconds of ankle pops. And the ankle pops is that nice practice with bounding. So what we're going to do here now, the only change in position is instead of my arms being relaxed by my side, I'm going to pull my elbows slightly up and back so my hands come to my hips, almost like I was going to put my hands in my pocket. And then I'm going to let my elbows and my hands relax. And from here, I'm just going to let my knees kind of soften as well as I work on some bigger, more kind of explosive rebounding jumps. So my elbows are relaxed, my hands are relaxed, almost like I'm shaking water off my hands if they're wet in the sink. So that's that action that's going to kind of happen as I start doing that ankle pop. Now the other thing we have to think about is relaxing the knees so that they get involved in kind of absorbing and giving that energy back. All right, so it's not a big bend, but we do relax them enough that they can absorb and give energy back into that jump. So you're going to work anywhere from 10 seconds with that. If you want to add a little bit more time to that to practice, you can. And then you're going to move into 20 seconds of skipping, perhaps working on double under practice, singles, working on that position, working on your body position, that cadence of the rope and the feet. Who knows? Whatever you like to practice on, you have 20 seconds to get that skip going. Now, if you don't have a skipping rope, or you do have one but you don't have space to skip at home, what you can work on as well, I don't have a dumbbell at this moment in time with me, but what you can work on is that lateral hop. You can work on that lateral step over, or you can work on a nice step over, back and forth, working on a nice quick kind of agility work set. Another piece you can play with is getting those feet apart and working on those in-out hops to work on a little bit of rhythm, work on some footwork, and you can kind of play around. So we're going to get some sort of jump or skip action going to work on a little bit of agility and to get the heart rate and the ankles ready. So we move from the heel tap, the ankle pop, and the skip, all of which getting slightly more athletic and slightly more kind of explosive as we go. Now from there, we're going to start moving into our dumbbell skills. So we're going to grab our dumbbells and we're going to get you ready to work some front squats. All right, we've worked through some skipping skill work, and now we're going to work on our squatting. So we're going to jump right into our dumbbell front squat. So what I need to do with my dumbbell is I need to take it and clean it up to the shoulder, or shoulders if I'm using two. But I'm going to rest the back of the dumbbell on my shoulder in my front rack. So the dumbbell is going to be on a 45 degree. I'm holding that elbow slightly up and out, but I'm giving it a little bit of engagement into the dumbbell so that the dumbbell doesn't push my arm down, nor does it move around a lot when I squat. So I'm pushing into that dumbbell just subtly, just to keep it up and engaged. My feet are in my regular squat stance, so I'm going to get myself set up, and I'm going to use the same mechanics that I've used in my narrow and my sumo. I'm going to draw my hips down towards my heels, those knees track those toes, I'm keeping that body nice and upright, and I stand. So I'm going to really work on just a tempo, 3 seconds down, little pause, 3 seconds up. I'm going to take the time there to start feeling out some different loading if I have access to different loads, to really start warming up to see what I want to use in my workout. Now, if I only have a single dumbbell, do 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, just to make sure both sides are feeling good today and you're feeling pretty balanced with the weight choice on both sides, not just on the one. Once we're done our 3 squats, we're going to lay on our backs and we're going to work on a dumbbell floor press. So I'm going to get myself laying down like I was going to do my bridge. So my feet are flat, just outside my fingers. My dumbbell is going to be kind of off to the side. And I'm going to get myself nice and set. So my dumbbell is going to come up so it's stacked right over top of my elbow. My armpit is going to have a nice 45-degree angle at that armpit position. And from here, if I'm using a single, I'm just going to use the other arm to press into the floor for some stability. If I'm using 2, I'll be in the same position, which I'll show from a standing position as well. My ribs are kind of pulled in, but I'm not trying to hollow out and round out that position. I'm keeping a natural lumbar curve, and I'm pulling my shoulders back so they're in contact with the floor. Now from here, I'm ready to press. And what I'm going to do is take that dumbbell at my sternum, and I'm going to push up, so now it's over my shoulder. Now from here, I'm going to come back down on that kind of 45-degree position, and I'm going to bring that dumbbell down, so I hit that position by my sternum again. I push up, so it's over my shoulder. I pull it back down, so it's beside my chest and sternum. So there's lots of kind of play with that movement, but from a straight on position, if I was laying on my back, my arms would be at this kind of 45-degree position. We don't want to be super tight to the body, nor do we want to be up in this T position. We want to be nestled kind of right in the middle, just like we do when we do our push-ups, because that's really going to recruit the most musculature to stabilize that shoulder in that press. So we really want to make sure that we're giving ourselves the best possible position to execute that press as we do our floor presses. So with this, again, we have 3 reps. If you only have 1 dumbbell, you're going to do 3 on one side, and then you're going to switch 3 on the other side. If you have 2, you'll just work on 3 nice, smooth floor presses. Meanwhile, the whole body is engaged, but we're not really moving the body at all. We're just moving the arms and keeping everything else stable and static to maintain and support that dumbbell in the press. Now, after all those presses and the squats, we're going to stand ourselves up tall, and we're just going to give ourselves a chance to kind of stretch our body out. So we're going to bring our feet underneath of our hips, and we're going to get 1 foot out in front, nice and straight for the leg. My knuckles can come together at that center line, and I'm going to slowly draw my hip back, just like we did in our RDL, and then I'm going to rotate towards that lead leg with the elbow. And it's okay if you can't touch that leg with the elbow. We're just trying to rotate towards it. So I draw my hips back. Once I hit the end of my hinge, I rotate and stand tall. So once again, from the side, I have that leg extended. My weight is through my midfoot on my balancing leg. I draw my hips back into that hinge, and then I rotate towards that lead leg and stand up nice and tall. Remembering, these are not fast. These are pretty relaxed. They're smooth and steady, working both rotations both sides once you've done either one. So we're going to do 3 to 5 per side. Take them slow because they are, single leg balance, easy to lose one's balance as we do these movements quickly. So as a quick recap, we have 2 to 3 rounds of this work set. We have our heel taps of 10 to 20 seconds, ankle pops of 10 seconds, skip of 20 seconds, perhaps working on double under practice. Don't have access to skipping area, you can work on your dumbbell lateral jump over, skip over, step over, in-out hops, whatever you'd like to do there. That's some sort of agility work and some sort of jump skill work. After that, we're going to grab our dumbbell. We're going to work through 3 to 5 front squats, right, per side, or with 2 dumbbells at a 3-1-3 tempo. We're gonna lay down, perhaps maybe same or different loading. You can have 2 different sets of load for these floor press as well. 3 reps at a 3-1-3 tempo, finishing off with a little bit of mobility work and that nice rotation work in that hinge. So single leg good morning with rotation, 3 to 5 aside, relatively slow. Repeat, getting that body ready to go, working on that position to get yourself prepped for your work set for the beams to guide us. So pause the video, take down that work set. We're gonna move into just a recap of our work set and turn you loose. All right, we made it to the work set, you guys. We got 5 rounds, which turns into an on the minute for 15 minutes. Minute number 1, we're gonna take down dumbbell front squat, 10 to 15 reps. If you have 2 dumbbells, so just do 10 to 15 reps. If you have 1, you're gonna split the work between both sides. So whatever number you choose, just split that work between the 2 arms, life is good. Whatever time frame you have left over after those squats, you get to rest. Then you're gonna move into minute number 2. We're gonna do 10 to 15 floor press. Same idea, if you're picking that number and you have 1 dumbbell, half on one side, half on the other side, and then continue on. Whatever time frame you have, rest. And then minute number 3, double unders or skipping for max reps in that minute, or whatever time frame you would like to give yourself, all right? This is a great workout as well if you were looking at practicing double unders because there's no set number. You just have some time to practice. So even if you're like, I can string together like 2 to 5 reps, awesome. Work on some singles, get yourself confident, and then rock some double unders and try and do some double unders. Then rest perhaps for a little while, and then do it again. So you have that whole minute to practice that skill of the double under. If you're like, Dave, I'm not quite there yet, but I kind of want to work on the ankle pops, that bounding practice. Awesome, be my guest, work on that skill. So just because it says double unders doesn't mean you have to do skipping or double unders. You can work some non-rope skills that's going to help build that skipping skill over time. I'll also have a chunk of cardio options at the bottom that you guys can choose from in place of skipping. So check those out, pick your option, have some fun with it. Once you're done your double unders, you'll go right back into minute number 1, and you're going to take down that lovely 10 to 15 rep, whatever you chose, for your front squats, floor press, back to the doubles. So it's going to be a nice flow work set. It's a very cool work set if you'd like to practice and work on skills. It's also a really cool work set if you have that double under skill and you're comfortable with the front squat to really push that load and really push the pace there and work on some really good interval work. So see how you're feeling today, make that choice and see how you want to take it down and give you the dose that you need for today. As always, everyone, let's work for quality, let's have a ton of fun. Let's see where this one takes us today. So let me know how it goes. I'm always interested. We're going to finish off the week strong with some fun. Stay tuned, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, you guys.